Podium! Hell yeah.
How was it?
Good. I put a good run together. I was stoked. Just, yeah, felt fast, and yesterday crashed in the seating run and there was no splits, so I couldn't tell. So today I wanted to show the speed I had. Had a good run. It's awesome. It feels good. Felt good to sit on the hot seat and be in a good spot.
Crankworx World Tour and Crankworx runner-up for 2023.
So we just got the steel version of my frames. I worked with Kotick to design these steel frames that would be identical to my aluminum version, be able to test only the material with no variables changing.
I'm Cy Turner from Kotick Bikes, and I'm the founder and owner of the company. And I'm also the technical director, and I design all the bikes. My background in steel is that that's all I've ever really used for designing bikes. Although we've never done a downhill bike before, we currently build an enduro bike out of Reynolds 853 high strength steel tubing, which is the same stuff we're building Neko's frames out of. Most people will have heard of 4130 chromoly, and there's like a regular version of that and a heat treated version of that. 853 is even stronger again. It's about 10% stronger than heat treated chromoly, which is the strongest version of that particular type of material. But 853's also got this amazing property where it air hardens when you weld it, so it actually gets harder and stronger in the weld zone, whereas normally all metals get weaker in the heat affected zone.
We're here in Charlotte again today. Jamie's nice enough to scan these frames again with his Creaform, so we can really tell any differences the frames might have. The goal is that they're identical, but they're made in two different places out of two different materials. And whenever you hand make bike frames, things can always change.
You don't have to use a lot of it to get a really strong frame. You get to design in an even more steel kind of a way, if you like. You can use less of it to make a strong enough frame, which means you get that slight more give in the frame. So, you know, it all kind of amplifies the steel properties.
Jamie, Dan says that you need to remember the bike needs to turn right and left, not just left.
Sounds good.
My name is Austin Hackett-Klaub, and I'm a suspension tech for Specialized.
On the boulevard I landed. We used to kick routines and the presence was fitting. It was I, the abstract.
And me, the 5-footer. I kicks the mad style, so step off the Frankfurter.
Yo, Fife, you remember that routine? Mr. King.
A tidbit, a smidgen. I don't get the message, so you
You're on point, Fife.
All the time, Tip.
You're on point, Fife.
All the time, Tip.
So then grab the microphone and let your words rip.
Now here's a funky introduction of how nice I am. Tell your mother, tell your father, send a telegram. I'm like an energizer cause you see I last long.
So I just did my first lap back on the steel one. Did a timed run on the aluminum, then straight to a timed run on steel. And I think, yeah, if I was racing in this and I had to jump on one, I would go steel.
That you know who I am. A special shout out piece goes out to all my pals, you see. And a middle finger goes for all you punk MCs. Cause I love it when you whack MCs despise me. They get vexed, I will next to let you test me. I'm just a prophecy in every way. I don't even know I misbehave. I come correct and full effect of all my holes in check. The gym must be a wreck. You see my aura's positive, I don't promote no junk. See I'm far from a bully and I ain't a punk. Extremity of clean out your ears and just check the word.
I'm on the Ride Dynamics team, so we basically do a lot of the bike testing, and we work on the tunes for the shocks that come on the bike. And yeah, we just kind of work with all around development and yeah, a lot of suspension work, chassis work, you know, anything really on the mountain bikes, we have our hands in a bit. I know Neko from, gosh, we've been racing downhill bikes together for a long time now. I think I probably met Neko back in like 2010 or 11, racing juniors. The main thing we did today was swap between the aluminum and the steel frames, and just kind of giving Neko some feedback and just trying the bike out and really feeling out the differences between those two materials. So today we started off just getting used to the bike, getting a feel for it, setting up the cockpit. We did some reach adjust with the headset cups, and just got me comfortable on the bike. We started with the steel one, and then I jumped on the aluminum one, rode that for a bit, did some timed runs, and then jumped back on the steel one. The differences were pretty noticeable, which was cool. I was worried, just because I wanted to have some sort of useful feedback for Neko, I was worried that, you know, I wouldn't feel much between them. Sometimes it's hard to feel the differences between clickers, you know, different changes you make, and these differences were noticeable. And I felt like the aluminum bike was a lot more harsh. There was a lot more feedback through that bike, through small trail chatter, mostly on stuff that wasn't really crucial to the ride quality, where, you know, it was a lot of time in between features on this track. It was way more harsh feeling on the aluminum bike, whereas the steel bike would kind of deaden out those bumps, and that became more noticeable as far as like trail features go and cornering, and the grip felt better. And the aluminum bike, very similar characteristics because it's the same geo, but it just was a little more rough.
So we had Austin out here today testing the steel frame versus the aluminum frame. Austin showed up as a gift from God on Friday, the man to test ride the bike. I just happened to see Austin out here a couple days ago with Specialized doing some test riding. I just left that day thinking, man, I wonder if he could test ride my bike for me. Really, like what he said was, if you ask somebody who maybe heard about steel bikes, what they would say about steel bikes, it kind of lined up with that. And honestly, like this whole frameworks thing, like when we tested the high pivot bike and we have been developing the frame, like we're not uncovering any big secrets. Like we're just going deeper into actually trying the stuff, trying to have an experiment that's as little variables as possible. And normally the results are not that far out from what you thought they would be. We just were able to prove them on the trail in real world conditions. So my idea to make the steel frame was to make another frame from just like my aluminum one that had identical geometry and suspension kinematics. That way we could isolate only the variable, the material, and try the two frames back to back. and see if there was any difference in the way they feel. The stiffness, we shot for the same like measured stiffness number. Like if you were to just push on the bottom bracket and see how far it deflects under the same force, like the two frames should be the same. But that doesn't necessarily mean that if they're the same stiffness, they would ride the same dynamically on the trail. And that was what we were trying to figure out by testing these steel frames. That was the idea behind it. The way that it was built is just a little bit different to achieve the same pivot locations and same geometry as the aluminum frame. And we went and scanned it at the NASCAR shop to see if it was going to line up, and yeah, everything looked pretty spot on. 6 weeks ago now at the Windrock National, I crashed and broke my pelvis. I broke my acetabulum, which is the socket that holds your femur head in, and they had to do surgery and screw it back together. I'm doing pretty well. It's feeling better and better still every day. I'm making progress, but I'm not allowed to stand on it for a full 12 weeks so that the femur's not pushing into that joint, and that way it heals more smoothly on the inside of the joint. My reports from the doctor say it's all good, and I just gotta put my time in. Time will heal it. It's a pretty bad bone to break, but it's still just a broken bone. I'm grateful it's nothing more serious, and I'll be back hopefully for the second half of the season. Today was really cool getting out and watching Austin ride. Got my hands all greasy for the first time in a while, and I was just excited to, as you can imagine, I've been pretty bored lately, so I was excited to get out here and see this stuff in action.
How's the tie down looking?
Pretty tight, honestly. I think we'll be good to go.
Let's go. Worldwide Cyclery has been a supporter of me and my Frameworks racing program since day one. They made a cool landing page on their website where I wrote a brief summary of all the components I use and why I chose to use them. If you're in need of new bike parts or just want to find out more about my program, visit Worldwide Cyclery through the show notes in this video or my Instagram profile. Frameworks Racing gets a small kickback of any purchases you make, which really helps to fund my race season. Thanks for watching this video. Really looking forward to the next one.